So getting close to the finishing up the FAFSA application here. You've made it all the way through. You've filled out the student demographics, the schools you're interested in attending, answered your dependency questions, provided parent information, you provided tax return information for you and your parents, and so finally everything's looking good. The FAFSA's moving along fine, no errors are popping up. So we're to the point now where it's time to sign and submit the application. It's very important to make sure you've got that application submitted. Sometimes students think they're done and they leave it sitting out there, but it was never officially submitted. And then later they're going to the school and they're like, "But I did a FAFSA," and the schools can see some information by going to the federal student aid system and seeing if there are FAFSAs out there. They cannot see FAFSA details or the information you put on your FAFSA if you did not include that school as a school of interest on your FAFSA. But we can see that, oh, hey, student, you do have a FAFSA application in the system, but we need you to, go and put our school ID on the FAFSA so that we can see it and process it for financial aid at our school. So as a sign and submit, we can move through these steps. The first question it's going to ask, are you a preparer? And I like how they say this is rare. So this is if you are paying somebody else to do your FAFSA application for you. There are some kind of a professional, or maybe an attorney, or maybe an accountant. I have never seen it's really where somebody else did the FAFSA as a preparer. Usually the students and the parents do just fine doing these applications on their own. So if you did your own FAFSA, then no, you are not a professional preparer. You just did this yourself. So you would click no and then click next. Then it brings up kind of a summary of everything you've done so far, is kind of in a nice long summary here. And you can collapse that, and it kind of shrinks, but it brings it up showing everything. It just shows everything from your first questions, your information you plugged in, your citizenship, your college attendance, the schools you were interested in attending, and how you would be living on those campuses. And again, you could do up to 10 colleges, but you don't have to, so it just leaves that last part blank. Your dependency determination, how you answered those questions, your parent demographics, your parent financials, your student financials, and then that section, and then we're at the sign and submit. So you can kind of go back and do a quick review and make sure everything looks good without having to go page by page, and then you can go back and make corrections. If you saw, oh wait, I put something in wrong, you can go previous and go back to sections and make corrections and then move back forward. You can print this out to keep for your records. So if you want to have it in a folder and then pull it out for a quick review, what did I put on my FAFSA again? The financial aid office might be asking some question and you're like, wait a second, what did I put down? But if all is looking good and you're ready to sign and submit, you can hit the next button. So this is where that FSA ID comes back into play. So as a student, and again, this is a FAFSA, this is a demo, kind of a demo FAFSA with federal student aid. So I have a student here that they have created, and the student has an FSA ID that I logged in with. So I started the FAFSA by logging in with that FSA ID as Larry last name. And so throughout this whole FAFSA application, I've been logged in with my FSA ID. But because I'm a dependent student and mom and dad had to provide information, mom or dad, one parent needs to sign the FAFSA with me, and it has to be submitted that way. So that's why one parent in the household should have an FSA ID as well. And they would then be logging in with their FSA ID to sign this at the end with you. So we'll just kind of walk through and I'll kind of talk you through it here. So the first thing to do as a student, you want to sign it. So you're logged in with your FSA ID. It says you're unsigned. You want to provide your signature. This is just kind of like the disclosures that, again, you've told the truth to the best of your ability. You're not trying to commit fraud or anything here. You're just an honest attempt at filling out a FAFSA. A starving student who hopefully can get some help with financial aid. I agree to the terms outlined below. You click agree as a student and you click next. And it says student signature for your social security number, for Larry last name and your date of birth, and you say yes, I'm electronically signing my FAFSA. And it says student signed with FSA ID. Now this is where, now it's the parent's turn to sign because you're a dependent student. If you were an independent student, you're over 24 years old, or you met one of the independent criteria, it wouldn't be asking for the parent signature. You would just sign it with your FSA ID and it would be submitted and done. But for a dependent student, the parent needs to sign. So we're going to say provide parent signature. And again, all this information, same question for the parent. You're just, answer questions to the best of your ability, telling the truth. You agree, and you click next. Now this is where it says, okay, mom, parent 1 or parent 2, you created an FSA ID. This is where that parent would enter their FSA ID username and their password, and then hit sign this FAFSA. And just like you saw with the student part, it would bring up the, sign this electronically, and it would say done. But because this is a demo site, I don't have parent information. I don't have FSA ID for a parent. And also when we did the parent section, sometimes we have parents who are undocumented or don't have social security numbers, and they're not able to create an FSA ID. So we have to sign, the parent has to sign the FAFSA, but they weren't able to do an FSA ID. So how do we do this? We are going to say, we're going to look at other options to sign and submit. So if your parent wasn't able to create an FSA ID, you would say sign electronically with my FSA ID if they could. If not, that parent, and usually most parents who they put all zeros for the social security number, or undocumented parents, we print a signature page, the parent signs that, and we mail that in. And we have here at COS probably several thousand students, or several students that we see at all the high schools we go out and help them. This happens a lot, and a lot of students use this option. You can submit without signatures, so maybe you're just in some weird thing where mom's got an FSC ID, but maybe they're traveling or she's away on business. I can't get that from her right now. You can close your FAFSA and save it, or you can submit without signatures, and it will submit and it'll be in a holding status. And then when the parent is there and like, oh yeah, here's my FSA ID, you can open it back up and then sign it with the FSC and make the submittal complete. Or have to do some kind of follow-up. But just because you submit without signatures doesn't mean you're going to be eligible for aid. The financial aid office is going to say, we've got your FAFSA, but we still have a signature issue we have to resolve. We need a parent or somebody has to be signing off on this, and we have to verify that and approve that before we can release any funds. So submitting without signatures does not mean you're good to go. So in this case, we had a parent on there that we put in all zeros for their social security number. They weren't able to create an FSA ID. So we're going to do a signature page. We're going to click next. And it says, okay, parent selected signature option. Signature, print a signature page for the parent we plugged in earlier. We did, one parent had a social, one parent did not. So it grabbed this parent. And I think if I go back previous, let's go back. Usually you can select which parent is signing. That's on there. I'm not seeing that pop up for this demo. So we have the signature page. Let's print a signature page. So what comes up is a sample. This is, again, it's a demo site, so it's a sample of what that looks like. It has like a barcode. It has Larry last name's information. Student signature, not required to sign because you signed with your FSA ID. But here you're going to print out the parent will sign and date this form. There was no professional preparer, so no one is required to sign here. And then once you print the form, you're going to mail that. It's going to go to Federal Student Aid Programs, London, Kentucky. You would put that in an envelope and mail that off. And then usually within a couple, 3 weeks, Federal Student Aid gets that, verifies the signature, and your FAFSA is good to go. So once this looks good, I would say print the signature page. It opens up the print box to my printer. Print this to a printer, and then I hit print, and it prints the document. I sign it, or the parent, mom or dad signs it, puts it in the envelope, and it's off in the mail. And then once that's done, close the window, submit my FAFSA now, and it says, congratulations, Larry, you have a confirmation number, and you have a DRN number. It's very important to print this page, like it says, print this page or write down this information. If for some reason you're going to a college and they don't have your FAFSA, maybe you didn't put that college on your application, they may say, do you have your DRN number? if you give them the DRN number, they can pull your application in directly without you having to go in and add the college. They might be able to help you that way. So it's good to have your confirmation and DRN number handy. What happens next, you'll receive an email version of this page. You get an email confirmation from Federal Student Aid, and then you can kind of print this. So that way you know, like, congratulations, your FAFSA was successfully submitted. That's what you want to see. And then it will talk about, you'll get an estimated EFC. Here, because it's a demo site, they're just plugging in nines. They don't want to make it look like a real number, but the EFC is the family contribution. So of course an EFC is 0 means that your family, based on your income information, your family's not being asked to contribute anything, and you have the maximum eligibility for Pell Grant or loans. You may have an EFC of 3,000, which again can reduce the award, but you're still going to get something. Once EFCs start getting up, higher than 20,000, things like that, I mean, an EFC, then you start to lose kind of grant aid, but then maybe you're only eligible for loans. So this is kind of helps determine where your eligibility is going to fall. And then they're kind of saying, again, based on this application, the person might be eligible for a Pell Grant of $4,300 or a direct, a federal loan of $5,500. The maximum annual Pell Grant for the 2020-21 year is around $6,300. So that's the maximum any student can receive in Pell Grant. So this means this person, if they were eligible for $4,300 in Pell Grant, they maybe had a couple $1,000s in EFC that subtracted, so a $6,300 Pell Grant minus $2,000 EFC leaves you around $4,300. If you had a data retrieval tool, there might be information here. This lists the schools you submitted on your FAFSA. So this, again, if you print this out, it's showing you these are the schools I put on my FAFSA, because we're doing this in October and you're going to school, you're making decisions throughout the year, and then that next fall you may be at coming to COS and going, well, I thought I put COS on my FAFSA, but maybe you didn't. So that's why you could always have this handy and say, oh gosh, COS wasn't listed on there, or UC Madera, UC Merced wasn't on there. I ended up going to UC Merced and I never put that on my FAFSA. I need to get that fixed so they can see my application and get this eventually. So this is the confirmation you receive that lets you know your FAFSA is submitted and you are good to go.